again, this would be a base technique. So I like to start the guys down here locked up. Okay, so obviously they've already taken their first step with their visual key. They get a base block out of the tackle. They're going to do a really good job of getting the difference. Okay, and then we're going to obviously get that right here. We're going to get that length, that long arm extension, get that outside arm out. Again, like newer guy, I want to get our eyes down the line of scrimmage to see where the ball's at. And then if the ball bounces, we got to, come off. We're trying to prevent the running back thinking there's any opportunity for bounce based on two things. One, I try to get my guys to get their heels across the line of scrimmage. I don't want them to get too far up the field because that here we call creates an inverted seam. If we are too vertical and let's say a B gap linebacker has to fit that, an off the ball 30 backer has to fit the B gap, that distance is called an inverted seam. That can put a lot of pressure on defender. So we're really talking about control line of scrimmage and getting our heels on the other side of the LOS. And then between that, setting a good edge with some depth and getting our arm out of the fight, I think it presents an image that the back doesn't think he can bounce. And then ultimately, when that ball declares, we try to step through with that tight arm over and come through and try to make plays. So again, just working that deer right there. This is a good job with our eyes. I try to put the guy's eyes in the hip pocket to see where the back is on any type of zone run game at him. Where is that back? And when the thing's declared, coming with a tight arm over. On the tight arm overs, I really talk about trying to cut the tricep. Working to try to come across with that left arm in this particular case, come across, cutting that tricep and really step through with that outside foot. Not as big a fan sometimes as the rips. Again, younger guy, we got to be more violent on this stuff. We're thinking through things day one, but we got to really try to get that difference, get that extension, good hand placement, and working to try to come through and try to drive through. So you got to step through. So you can tell the guys that have done a little bit, but a little bit more familiar with the techniques, okay, as opposed to some guys that are learning some things in the offseason. So same drill, kind of rolling the thing back. See down here, we're getting that difference, getting that extension, getting that arm out of the fight, and really trying to work through just some drills that we're doing in the offseason to work on base blocks. Let me fast forward here to the next clip. You need to see these are just stuff that we're doing in T-shirts and shorts, okay? Reach blocks. And again, I don't know that we saw this year in the Big Ten a ton of true outside zone. And really for me is like, does the tackle open up and run and really try to capture your outside hip? More your like inside zone, your duos, even some of the mid zone that we're seeing right now in the Big Ten, they're not really trying to capture outside hip. They're just trying to keep us out. But let's say that we did get a team that you step at your visual key and the guy is really trying to overreach you. Okay, he's really trying to overreach you. So what we're going to do here is we're still going to work to get that difference. Okay, so again, hairline under the chin, wrists and elbows together, thumbs up, speed to lock, ass back, creating that separation. Okay. Then it's where's the ball? Okay, if that ball is starting to work outside and you've got to come off, this is the one time where I do think when you're running that guy's lateral, rip through that thing, keep your shoulders square in a position to make the play. So we really talk on some of those reach blocks, really trying to do a good job of fighting that. And either where it's a rip or a tight arm over, capturing an outside gap when the ball bounces. Okay. Now, what I do want to get to is talking about sometimes you get the overreach, and I'll give you a better example of this. Go back. Sometimes you do get the overreach, and I'll show you on tape. There are opportunities where he's overreaching you, and you could come underneath the block and maintain ball leverage. And again, like a high school assistant, a high school head coach, I'm not sure I would get into this maybe necessarily with younger players because those guys are going to be stupid, and they're going to cost you at some point if they come underneath some of these blocks. But at the same point in time, like as I progress with older, more veteran players, I think it's okay to give them the freedom to be football players and not just say you're a C-gap defender. I think to get more excited about that. I always tell my guys, if you're going to take it, you got to make it. What does that mean? If you're going to take the shot on a reach block and come underneath, you're going to have to climb back vertical and stack the tackle. And the biggest thing is, did you lose the ball leverage? If you lost ball leverage, you're wrong on your decision to take the shot, and I probably got to pull you and put you on the sideline. But you could take that shot underneath and go ahead and have the opportunity to make the play. So I'll show you some of that. Here's some more now drill work that we do on down blocks. So this is just off-season work. So you can see my guys right here. This is the stance we're in. Our inside foot is back. We're really stepping at the shoulder of our visual key. So what we're trying to represent here is now this is the next progression in things. Off-season work, we're just getting a base block. So we're working again, stepping at the guy, trying to get our heels across the line of scrimmage. Shoulders are square, setting a good edge. Our eyes should be down the hip pocket of the tackle. Where's the back? Hoping to try to dissuade the back from bouncing based on this length of this outside arm. The shoulders are square, our length overall, and probably importantly, setting a good edge at line of scrimmage, past line of scrimmage depth. And then when that ball declares inside, being a football player, coming across, putting yourself in a position to make a play. So that's an example of a base block. Okay, so here again, I'm working. We get the down block. We step on our visual key, down block. We're going to close down the line of scrimmage and see if there's any threat on the line of scrimmage. If you have a pulling guard, okay, our day one installs, we're going to go down because in our base defense, we are leverage players or box players. We have other defenses where we will spill, but in our day one install, we are an outside leverage player, okay? The inside backers and safeties fit inside of us on down scheme. The reason that we are a leverage player, okay, a lot of our man-free stuff and not a spill player, is we do see a lot of like play action pass stuff, okay? Some PAP stuff where they pull the guard. A lot of times it becomes difficult on play action passes. If you're to spill, you're going to have to work back outside on a transitional pass rush to maintain your top field shoulder on the quarterback. Whereas I like, and our players like, on the low shoulder leverage technique on pullers, if you get that play action pass with the guard pulling and you notice that he's soft with depth, you can transition with a transitional pass rush TPR on the tight arm over to the upfield shoulder and climb and be able to put yourself in a position to go get the quarterback. Whereas you spill, there's a little bit of conflict there. You're either going to have to add somebody off the edge, which gives you something that doesn't work necessarily in the coverage piece, okay? Or you're going to have to, obviously give up and try to work back outside. So this is just our low shoulder leverage technique. I'll show you on tape. What we're really trying to do, and I got some NFL tape of this too, we're not allowed to have contact below the waist, but I tell you what we're trying to do is slow down pullers. Slow down pullers by trying to take our shoulder and our delt and really trying to put it in his belly button or even potentially lower. Okay, really trying to, reduce that surface and get down and really trying to get into him there. Now, there are some, I'll show you some tape, like it gets a couple teams that their pullers weren't as violent as some other teams. And so we can potentially use our hands and try to get the difference on this. So I try to scout, report, well, how aggressive are the pullers and have some change-up pitches, okay? So this is just our low shoulder leverage technique, how we're using that against the down scheme, okay? So again, stepping at our visual key, trying to work no false steps in this drill, simple off-season drills, working edges, tight arm overs, coming through on the ball carriers, just